Hello my friends, me Nightgeek here. This is my third try in creating an amazing and uselessly powerful Windows XP PC. But that's not all. On top of XP, I'm going to add some Vista love. These are all the components I'm going to use, and in no particular order, the speaker. Of course, an essential part of every respectable classic computer. We all love I have a socket 1155 motherboard, an Asus, wait a second, P8Z77VLX2.
Hello? Yes, me Nightgeek here. Asus marketing department?
This is a low-end motherboard, but we have all the stuff. DDR slots for the RAM, SATA for the hard drives, PCI Express for the video card, normal PCI for the sound card, and the socket for the CPU. Now that's what I call a fully featured board. The CPU is an i5-3570K, the fastest i5 Ivy Bridge, the fastest i5 for Windows XP, and the second fastest CPU in history for Windows XP gaming. Nice credentials. By the way, I've received these components from a friend, the motherboard, the CPU and the RAM, and also an amazing Radeon HD 7950 that I was going to use, but unfortunately the card is dead. That's why I'll be using a GeForce GTX 560 Ti, which is fast for all Vista games, extremely fast for XP games, and at the same time it's very compatible with old games. The CPU cooler is a good, cheap and silent Arctic Freezer 7X. It should do the job. The CPU is not going to function at 100% like never. And here are the hard drives, each one with its own specific sound and smell. A brand new Super Multi DVD multi recorder for CD DVD games and for burning stuff on CDs. A Sirtec 650 watts power supply, plenty for this system, with a blue LED, of course. Speaking of LEDs, I'll be using these two fans, check them out. An ODG4, a bad sound card that has EX support. I will be using it in Vista also, enabling EX through Alchemy. I hope it works. These are the components, let's get to business. Mounting the cooler reminded me of the good old Athlon XP days, horrible. But after 10 minutes the cooler is in place, I hope. Look at this, work of art. The build procedure was nothing out of the ordinary. The only problem I had was with the hard drives and the SATA power connectors. And no, a hard drive does not fit in the floppy bay. Don't try this at home. Just saying. Okay, it looks decent. Let's power this creature. Well, it does not boot. After some nerdy swapping of cables and RAM, it decided to run. We now have this non-retro friendly BIOS, UEFI, yikes. I've installed Windows XP first and then Vista. If you want a dual boot system, this is how you should do it. Vista bootloaders recognizes Windows XP, but not the other way around. So if you install XP after Vista, you're stuck with XP, unless you do some hacking. I had no issues with the installation. XP was installed from CD and Vista from a USB stick. I had some suspicions about the ODG4 not working, but after installing the correct drivers, everything was smooth sailing. While Vista does not support environmental audio extensions, you can install an official tool from Creative named Alchemy. Install Alchemy, add the games, otherwise it won't work, and enjoy. And now here it is, every geek's wet dream, the juicy 8x Super Sample Transparency Anti-Aliasing. I'll be playing all games at these settings, unless otherwise specified. The best Need for Speed game ever made, Most Wanted has bad graphics, awesome gameplay, amazing cars, and the best police system in gaming history. Here's your Most Wanted review. I don't know why, but this game really loves anti-aliasing. All jaggies are gone. For example, Toka 3 is not that smooth, look at this. 85 average FPS is nice, and although we have some drops from time to time, even 45 FPS for the 0.1% lows are not that bad. Well, maybe there are, the video card should do better. The game is not multi-core optimized, only one CPU core does the heavy lifting. Comparing this to Toka 3, we see that in Toka both the CPU and the video stay at 100%, while in Most Wanted we have around 40 for the CPU and 50% for the video card. Maybe this accounts for the difference in frame rates, 400 in Toka, 80 in Most Wanted. A full-blown copy of Grand Theft Auto, Driver Parallel Lines were released in 2006. The graphics are nothing to brag about. Actually, this looks more like a 2002-2003 game, and I can't shake the feeling of GTA gameplay inside Mafia's world. And you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, Mafia does look better. Whatever, the performance is through the roof, and I'm not talking about the 286 average FPS, but about the 138 for the 1% lows. So, if you want to theft some auto with this modern Jar Jar character, this PC will sustain you and above. The frame rate in Fear is very picky. 178 average FPS and 70 FPS for the 1% lows is weird, too big of a difference. Throw in some 46 FPS for the 0.1% lows and we have the conclusion. The game runs great, provided you don't mind some sudden drops in performance. The video card is working hard, 100% usage, and it seems that the game has some multi-threading affinities, but don't quote me on that. Unreal Tournament 3 was created to showcase the mighty capabilities of the brand new Unreal Engine 3, and although it looks impressive and clearly more realistic than its little brother Unreal Tournament 2004, Unreal Tournament 3 does not look that good. It lacks the vibrant colors. It simply gives me a strange feeling. The gameplay is still there though, so let's enjoy it at 62 average FPS and 64 FPS 1% lows. It's a fast shooter, you might notice some hiccups while playing, because we have further drops to 42 for the 0.1% lows. This game was released in 2007, the video card in 2011, maximum settings, crazy anti-aliasing. Yeah, I can see these FPS numbers being the case. The video card is not struggling here, just 50% usage, 67 degrees. Far Cry 2 is a demanding game, but the system does a great job. The video card has around 95% usage and all the 4 CPU cores are hard at work. The game uses around 850 video memory, close to the 1 GB of this card. The game was released in 2008, the card in 2011. Just throw in some more video memory for the video card in the future, just saying. The frame rate is decent, 68 average and 53 for the 1% lows, decent and playable. Also, all the objects and textures look extremely smooth. Stalker is weird, never mind the extremely low FPS. It looks weird, the scene is extremely bright. I don't know if it's a bug or this is how it should look, but after using different settings for the lighting, the game looks darker and this seems to be the proper look. After juggling some options and disabling AA and AF, I've reached 75 average FPS and 55 for the 1% lows. Not bad, but not good either. My recommendation for this game, play it on your modern system, it's better this way. Stalker uses the X-Ray engine, a weird, buggy, but nonetheless impressive game engine, and the fact that it exists is nothing short of a miracle. Still, it seems that it does not use more than one core, which is bad for a 2009 game. Before moving to Vista Gaming, let's see some figures about power consumption, noise, Quake 4 is a good candidate for testing EX in Vista through Alchemy. After adding the game in Creative's tool, we can enable EX. And the differences are these. EAX makes the sound closer to you and punchier. Having said that, I'm not that impressed. I'm not impressed with the performance either. 36 FPS for the 1% lows? Horrible. Also, you have to appreciate the 1 GB video memory usage. 1 GB, a game from 2005. 1 GB. Something doesn't add up. But watching the entire run, I only see 3 small drops under 60 FPS. and only one drop under 40 when the game saved the progress. Also, the game is capped at 60 FPS. So, Fraps benchmarking is not to be considered here. I had constant 60 FPS all the time. After all, GG. If I enable all visual details in Hell Yeah London and use DirectX 10, the game crumbles under the weight of its own magnificence. After some little tweaks, we're back on track. Having said that, the performance is still subpar, not because of the 78 average FPS, but because of the constant FPS drops during combat. As you can see, 22 FPS for the 1% lows. I've benchmarked the outside areas only. In the tunnels and the shafts, the FPS is way better, over 100 most of the time. Hell Yeah London uses all the video memory, all the GPU, and one core from the CPU, because multi-core is for losers. We build our engines like in the good old days of single-core CPUs. The performance in Oblivion greatly depends on the area you're in. Inside towns we have very nice FPS, over 100, and the video card usage sits at around 80-90%. The FPS drops a lot when going outside, between 30 and 45. Here the GPU usage is at 100%. The video card really struggles to give Oblivion a good run. I've tested the game on a Ryzen 7 and GTX 1070 and I have the same results, around 40 FPS outside, so this is more of an engine limitation. As expected, inside caves, or I should say cave because there is just one cave in the entire game, we have the best FPS. The game runs great. Just disable anti-aliasing for Oblivion, it's a more peaceful life, and you can use HDR. Test Drive Unlimited, amazing graphics, amazing cars, amazing everything. Although you should play this game with VSync enabled because otherwise it will act strange, for the purpose of testing I'm playing without. 98 average FPS is amazing. This is not an easy to run game. The 1% lows are around 60, so everything is perfect. The GPU usage is at 100%, and the card gets very close to 80 degrees, which is not that desirable. The CPU is also hard at work, and the game likes the 4 cores, it's using them as they should be used. Although I have tested XP vs Vista performance recently, let's do some quick comparisons with this way more powerful than before computer. The only real differences are in Fear, and in Doom 3, XP having 7% more FPS. I wasn't expecting big differences, especially at these high settings, but here we are. It crossed my mind to see how good this PC is compared to some of my older builds. This is a 3D Mark performance comparison between this and other two systems that I had in the past. Then a comparison with my XP high-end PC, a Core 2 Duo and 7900 GTX. 3 times more performance in Doom 3 and Fear. Not bad. And finally, Crysis performance compared to an Athlon 64X2 and GTX 275. Again, 3 times the performance, and it's not even a contest. This computer is crazy fast. I've always wanted an XP Vista system, and now I have it. Behold, my stuff. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, use whatever components you have at your disposal and be nostalgic.